I love connecting people.
Yeah.
If I know someone that's doing a great job somewhere, if I can connect someone to that person because they've got a need and the other person's got the ability to do the work, if I can bring them together, I'm happy. And I think that's my superpower.
So joining me on the call today, I've got Neville Samuels from Virtual Staff 365. G'day, Neville.
Hi, David. Good to be here.
Look, today's really just a bit of an insight or a deep dive into your business to understand a bit about you, what drives you, and why you're successful. So maybe give us a snapshot of Virtual Staff 365.
Thanks, David. Virtual Staff 365 is an outsourcing/offshoring business. We predominantly work in the Philippines, but we're not locked in to any one particular region.
Yeah.
We like to help businesses get a lot of the back office grunt work done offshore because we find that can be done successfully. And sometimes we help our clients navigate the journey of offshoring, even when that doesn't involve us. So we like to help our clients. If we're not right, we can actually guide them in the right direction as well.
Fantastic. So tell me, what makes Virtual Staff 365 different from other outsourcing companies?
Quite a bit. I think the most important thing is that we're based here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And my management team is based here in Melbourne. So I like to take people on, certainly people that are going to be liaising with our clients and contacting our clients and help screening out candidates for our clients. I think they've got to be here in Australia. They've got to understand the Australian culture.
Yeah.
They've got to understand that when we're talking to someone offshore, no matter what country they're in, if they give answers that are, let's say, inappropriate or not on message, maybe that's a red flag. Maybe we need to assess that this person's not quite right for our clients. And that's something, the best way to do that is to have people here onshore.
Yeah. Because
so that is probably the biggest difference between us and any of our competitors.
Yes, because I know there's a big cultural difference when we outsource, and people love the idea of having VAs in other countries because of the difference in wages, but I don't think they realize the cultural difference and how much effort's required to integrate the two different cultures together and make sure you're getting on the same page. Yeah,
you're quite right, and that's why we always encourage people to transfer the low-level work offshore. Don't do the heavy lifting offshore, or the creative work, or the strategic work, or the innovative work. Keep it the low-level stuff because of these cultural differences. And if you can get someone to do the low-level stuff really well for you, then you can give them a little bit more, and maybe a little bit more, and let it grow. But there are these cultural differences, and sometimes you just ask a simple question, what we think is a simple question. The person on the other side doesn't necessarily understand it that well. So we do like to keep things simple.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you, why did you go into this business?
How much time have you got, David? It's, I went into this business for probably two reasons. The one is I knew it from a previous business I was in. I had an e-commerce business, and in the e-commerce business, part of my responsibility was to manage our offshore team of people. That's the one reason, was I actually knew it. The other reason was I was absolutely desperate. We had to close down that business. I lost a lot of money, didn't know what I was going to do. And I was talking to my ex-partner, who had just become my ex-partner, and he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I have no idea, but whenever I talk to my mates about this offshoring and outsourcing that we do in our e-commerce business, none of my network, my friends, people I talk to on weekends and at night, none of them know or understand what it is we do. I think I can turn that into a business. So I got into it through desperation and through knowing something and saying, well, can I turn this into a business? And it started very small. I mean, I had no clients, I had no business, I just had a lot of expenses. And I said to my wife, if I can get 10 people to work for clients, I think I can turn this into a business. it took me 6 months to get there.
Mhm.
And then I started doing it full time about 5 months later. But it was a long, hard trudge.
Yeah. So what do you consider your superpower?
I think my superpower is connecting people. And sometimes it's got nothing to do with connecting people to Filipinos. Sometimes it's about me turning around to a friend of mine and saying, I think you need to speak to David. He's doing fantastic work for me. He can help you as well. It's not necessarily within my business. I love connecting people.
Yeah.
If I know someone that's doing a great job somewhere, if I can connect someone to that person
Mhm.
because they've got a need and the other person's got the ability to do the work, if I can bring them together, I'm happy. And I think that's my superpower.
Well, it works perfectly with the industry you've chosen, doesn't it?
It does. And I was doing a lot of it prior to getting into this business.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time to realize that in actual fact, I've brought together my need for connectivity. I feed off other people's energy.
Yeah.
And if I can connect people, and I'm doing that in this business where I connect our candidates to our clients,
Yeah.
it did take me a while to realize that that's exactly what I like doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love my job.
Yeah, we can see that. That's very good. Let me ask you, you've been in business for a while. What do you consider the best piece of business advice you've received?
There are a lot of things that resonate, but probably the one thing that I'm actually working with right now is to employ the right people.
Yeah.
And that's within my business. And of course, I try to do that for our clients.
Mhm.
But you might see this little red book on the back behind me, That's Good to Great by Jim Collins. You know that book, David. And the most important takeaway from that book is if you get the right people on the bus, you can do anything. That's what I'm trying to do right now within my business.
Yeah.
And it's very scary because to get the right people on the bus, you got to find them. It's particularly hard at the moment to find anyone. Takes up a big chunk of overhead, and you've got to have faith that it's the right thing for the business.
Yeah.
But to do that, and I'm finding the effect, the impact that has on me and the business is invaluable. It's priceless. So that's what I'm working with right now, and I'm finding it working really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of, you've got to find the right people because that's probably the secret to success in business, full stop, is finding and keeping good people. But I think that it's not that easy. It takes a fair bit of skill development, a bit of luck, a bit of connectivity, like just being in the right places, the right time, and knowing what you're looking for. So that's really useful. Let me ask you just advice to others. So people who are in business right now, obviously we're just about to come out of lockdown one day in the next 5 years or so. What sort of advice would you give to someone in business right now?
It's a tough one. Such a broad question. Go with it. I always say go with your gut. If something feels right to you, go with it. But if something doesn't feel right, listen to the message.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel right, don't bury your head in the sand. And that actually leads me to probably the thing that I'm guilty of a lot of the time. And that is very easy to put my head in the sand and hope that a problem will go away.
Yeah.
If you tackle it head on, it becomes so you can actually own the problem. And I'm learning that. It's taken me a while to realize that if I tackle the problem head on, it's not going to be a problem a week or 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one for me to deal with. Sometimes I put my head in the sand and just I can't deal with it right now. But the more I deal with things head on, even the tough stuff, the hard things I don't like to deal with, if I deal with them head on, I become, it's not a problem the next time that issue raises its head.
I've got a friend who's a psychologist who said, when you have a problem, the thing is to come to terms with it so it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't go away. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think at the moment I'm trying to do as much as possible. And I think if you're running your own business, it's very easy to ignore things on the side because it's not in your front vision. Yeah. We know these are issues. At some point, that deer that's on the side of the road is going to be in the headlights at some point.
Yeah.
Let's get on top of it. Let's deal with it before it actually becomes a really big problem.
Mm.
And I think at the end of the day, those are two pieces of advice, but I think they both apply equally.
Yeah, I think so. I think like when people go into business, they don't realize that the business can only grow to their capacity to manage or to lead. So the things that you fear the most are the things that you need to probably face head on, as you just described, to actually get past them, or else they become the controlling factor. Huh?
That's right. I mean, at the moment, I suppose one of the things I'm doing is I'm employing people to allow me to tackle those issues that up to now I haven't been able to deal with.
Yeah.
Or I suppose I could employ people to deal with those issues. But a lot of the time, I think I'm the one that's got to deal with it, but I haven't got the bandwidth. And when you own your own business, you run your own business, you're wearing so many hats. Often you haven't got bandwidth to deal with issues, or you say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and something else raises its head and it's more important, and you never get to deal with it.
I think you described it quite well before when you talked about outsourcing. The whole idea is to delegate the lowest value activities, and then you can deal with higher value activities. And things like what you just described, it's easier to take stuff that's easy to do off your plate so that you can deal with the high level stuff, rather than trying to find someone who can solve your high level problems. Because if you get someone else to solve it, you never know how to solve it.
Yeah, that's quite right.
Yeah,
Quite right. And one of our biggest challenges is actually explaining to people that this low level work is just the best way to start.
Yeah.
But it does, the whole idea is to save money, but to also free up time and get other things done.
Yeah. Awesome. We could talk for hours, but I think we're going to wrap it up about there.
Okay.
Neville, thanks so much for the introduction. Hopefully everyone gets to know a bit more about who you are, what you do, and if they want to reach out, then they know how to contact you as well. So thanks again.
Thanks, David. Have a good day and stay safe.
Yeah, you too.